if you're just joining us on CNA today, landmark deal being signed, agreement between Malaysia and Singapore. You're looking at the live stream feed of Lee Hsien Loong's Facebook there, and Muhyiddin Yassin, the Prime Minister of Malaysia, about to sign this landmark agreement with the RTS.
Thank you, Excellency. Look forward to the project now starting off and completing in 6 years. By that time, hopefully, we will be back to normal. I hope so. Yes. Thank you, Excellency. We'll now commence the photo session. Please keep your face mask on.
Live stream of his Facebook of a landmark deal being signed between Malaysia and Singapore today. Just moments ago, having a light moment shown between the two leaders of the nations, hoping that things would return to normal, in the words of Lee Hsien Loong, the Prime Minister of Singapore, and Muhyiddin Yassin exchanging, the pleasantries there, and saying that he looks forward to crossing that yellow line you can see there, which is the midpoint of the border between Malaysia and Singapore, across what is a very, very busy causeway. They can often see anywhere up to 350,000 crossings daily by Malaysians into Singapore there. This is a project that was first mooted between the two countries at a leaders' retreat back in 2010 between Lee Hsien Loong and the then Prime Minister Najib Razak. 7 years later, the two nations decided on a location of where the stations would be in both the respective countries, but then the project was interrupted by a swift political change in Putrajaya come May 2018, when Najib Razak's Barisan Nasional Party lost power to the Pakatan Harapan coalition. And as Dr. Mahathir became the then Prime Minister, who's since resigned, the project was on pause, requested for several delays, in fact, looking at the cost issue, which was slashed down by around 36%. We're also seeing, flanked by the leaders of the two nations there, the transport ministers of Singapore, Malaysia, Ong Ye Kung, recently taken over from right next to him, Koh Boon Wan, and next to Prime Minister Muhyiddin Yassin, there is Wee Ka Siong, who's the Transport Minister of Malaysia, Julie. So a historic day as we finally get to see this billion-dollar project get underway, as they expect to break ground next year, and hopefully we'll be able to connect to Johor Bahru via rail by 2026. That's the plan.
Yeah, exactly, Adam. A clear sign of a strong relationship between Malaysia and Singapore as well, especially during this current economic challenges due to the COVID-19 pandemic. During the ceremony, of course, the transport ministers of Singapore and Malaysia inking 3 agreements. These are a bilateral agreement, a concession agreement, as well as an agreement to form a joint venture company to operate the rail line. These are live pictures, of course. So let's bring in Tan Soo Hui, who's watching this with us. Soo Hui, now that the agreements are signed, what's next? What sort of economic impact could we expect from this deal?
So there will be significant cost. There will be about a ringgit of $3.7 billion. That's about $1.2 billion Singapore dollars that will be contributed to this project. Now, that's already a significant breakdown because Malaysia had already requested for some project cost cuts, were about 36%. So this is a lot lesser than what was initially scheduled for. And this is really underscores the bilateral relations between Malaysia and Singapore. The fact that they have come back from the initial agreement that they want to do this, it really shows that both sides were really invested in this project. And over the last several months, a lot of hard work has been put in, especially since it's the COVID-19 pandemic. And both sides had experienced their versions of lockdown. So in Malaysia, it was the Malaysian controlled movement as well as Singapore circuit breaker period. And so there were a lot of challenges in place to ensure that this project was still going to go ahead.
And so, you just moments ago, you were talking to us about the benefits of this project, linking the two countries and, of course, the economies. Because, as we know, we do have a heavy flow of, people movement between Malaysia and Singapore. How does this sort of unclog the congestion at the causeway? Because that has been a perennial problem for many, many years. In fact, myself, I used to live in Johor Bahru and commute daily to school here in Singapore in rather heavy traffic across that causeway. I'm sure the economic benefits must be tremendous to bring down the transportation time, between the two countries.
Yeah, so 10,000 passengers per hour each way. That will be happening when there's the RTS link, and it stretches 4 kilometers long, and the train journey is only 10 minutes. So that's really a short amount of time to get from one place in Johor Bahru to Woodlands or the other way around. So it really significantly reduces the amount of time traveling between both countries.